Sometimes. I need to center this up. Excuse me just a second. I can talk when I'm doing it. Sometimes God's preachers doesn't seem to be preachers. I've met preachers that are godly men that the world would not call a preacher. John the Baptist, for instance, the Bible said he came wearing camel's hair, and his meat was wild locusts and honey. And in the eyes of the world in that day was almost a vagabond. And likewise today, God still is picking preachers that does not seem like that they have much in the eyes of the world. God chose little King David. One of the most famous stories in the Bible of how that David was chosen. And they went out and got the most magnificent looking son that Jesse had and brought him back and said, surely this is the one. And the prophet said, this is not the one. And the Bible said that they went and got 7 of his sons, and none of those were the one. And the world's choice is like King Saul. They get the tallest and the best looking and the strongest and the most athletic, dressed well and talks good and all that kind of stuff. And that's what they choose. Men choose. You go in our factories today and look. The people that they got running the place is not necessarily the smartest people in the place, but they're the tallest and the best looking and the most well dressed and blah blah blah. Same old story on down the line. They never think about how God puts things together. They don't even think about it. I told my boss here a while back, I said, boss, I said, you're doing exactly what it's going to take to run this place into the ground. Because he got rid of it, the Easter holiday. He made it, he didn't take it away, but he turned it from an Easter into a Roman holiday, therefore taking away the recognition of God out of our factory. And ever since they've done that, things have been getting worse and worse. One thing falls apart and it stays fell apart. Something else follows it, and something else follows it, and continuously everything. Now the machines are getting to where they just don't want to run anymore. And these are multi-million-dollar machines. You can't just up and replace them. So it's what God has in a person. One of the greatest ministries of our lifetime, Dr. Lester Sumrall, chose his son Stephen, his second born, to be in charge of the ministry after he left. When he passed on, he anointed him, and God blessed him. And what did they do? They took Steve Sumrall out and put somebody else in that looked like he could do that, that talked better, dressed a little better, walked a little with a little better, had a little better influence in the eyes of the world. That's not what God had picked. Same thing with myself. A lot of people, they see me preach. I've had my pastor say, boy, we need to get this guy. I mean, he can really preach. You know, what God chooses. Some preachers, even the Lord himself, went into his hometown and they said, wait, isn't this guy, his sister's over here, his brother's over here, his mom and dad live right down the street. And the Bible said Jesus, the literal Son of God, could do no great works because of their unbelief. Because our eyes get fixed on the things of the world that is not godly. They're not godly. So sometimes God's preacher doesn't appear to be a preacher, but it's God's choice. Amen. Alright, God bless. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next time. Another great message right here, Cross in the Middle Ministry.